live from Detroit.
Yo, what up, though? It's your man Jay Johnson, a.k.a. the tinfoil hat titan, a.k.a. the conspiracy realist, a.k.a. the technology snob, Steve Jobs Jr. Don't text me with your green bubbles, a.k.a. I only debate my equals, everybody else I teach. Also known as Juice, because all the hoes say J.U. Ice, Young Caesar, because you know you can't roam without me. Mr. If you don't like me, fight me. I got kicked out of Noah's Ark because they couldn't find another animal just like me, a.k.a. the West Side T'Challa, the new leader of Wakanda. Don't debate me, debate your mama. I am the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. What up?
What up, though? It's your man Dame, 3_313, the West Side Landlord, the Pride of PA, High Chief Dame Don't Fuck Around, the Liquor Store Legend, the Corner Store Conquistador, your mama's favorite Dame, and the David Ruffin of the Shop Talk Podcast, because you know who the fuck they came to see. Not you, Otis. It's no better than these 4 letters. Thank God for Dame. And if you're speaking on Dame, you better say it nice. And if you don't put the boss in front, then bitch, you're not saying it right. Let's go.
Yo, welcome back. Shop Talk Podcast, episode 308.
On you, host?
Yeah, on you, host.
Hey, little question mark to it?
Yeah, I think I usually look at the pod to see, but I think we like 308.
On you, host?
Yeah, we 308. 308.
Okay.
308. What's up, man? How was your week?
Man, you know, I ain't gonna front. This week has some ups and downs to it. I swore to God I was gonna get fired this week, and I still might, because I did get like caught up in some bullshit. Like my day ended 4:30, and I just happened to still be in front of my laptop, and the email came in at like 4:35 from my boss, and I thought the responsible thing is to respond to it
Tomorrow.
No, I responded to it tonight.
Oh, okay.
And it started like a back and forth, and I did some shit. And I'll be honest, I didn't follow policy, but I followed what I thought made sense in the moment.
That's what I usually do.
And it still might get me fucked up on
what
Monday.
you was going back and forth for? Like, I don't get it.
I told somebody not to help somebody else that was calling in because they were trying to get like patient information, and like verifying the shit was a little sketchy.
Yeah.
So I was like, don't give it to him. Like,
yeah.
Just cover, like, I'd rather her cover her own, cover your own, but we should have gave him the information. Mm-hmm. And now this nigga,
we err on the side of caution.
Yeah, and that's the role I'm gonna take with it. But I did some other risky shit this week, and it wasn't well received. So, you know, we'll see.
Man, like we said last week, dog, like, I think everybody every day does something at their job that they can probably get fired for.
Yeah, and this was my week. But other than that, like, I had a decent week. Like, 2 people really did some like very considerate things to me this week.
Oh, God bless.
Just out of, man, I just really appreciate it. It was just really out of nowhere. They really had no rhyme or reason to do it. It was just like out of the goodness of their heart. And that shit really made my week. So
that's what's up.
I appreciate it.
You got to pay it forward now.
Yeah, I got to figure something out, but I will. I appreciate it because don't nobody... You know, like, I'm the man of my house. I'm the patriarch of my family. So I don't really expect shit from, you know, people. Like, or for people to do shit for me. You know, I just take care of the house. I take care of my babies.
Yeah.
You know, I don't expect nothing from their mothers. You know, just no hand. I don't really look for a handout, or when Father's Day come around, I'm appreciative if somebody does something, but the gift is my babies. Yeah, so just like in general, I don't look for people to do shit for me. But when
man shit, shit like that.
So people did, but like there were two instances this week where people looked out for me, out just the kindness of their heart, and I really appreciated it.
Maybe it'd be so, because like me, like yourself, I'm never asking for nothing. I don't need nothing. When holidays and shit come around, like I pretty much got everything I need. I don't want. I got everything I need, but when somebody get you some shit, they'd be like, "Oh man,"
you really thought about the.
You know, it don't even have to be like it'd be something small. You know,
and that's what it was. Like, it's not like it was like a huge cost, but like it was just nice that like for once. You know what I'm saying? Hey, we got a guest in the building too.
Yeah, man, we got a
returning guest.
A return guest.
You getting up there in numbers now?
Yeah.
Did you bring an intro?
Man, that's
Come on, man. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Man, it's Teacher Chuck back for the third time.
We appreciate having you here. Crispy as ever.
Crispy, thank you.
You know, since 1974.
Yeah.
Iceberg since 1974.
Iceberg,
you know you a player. You wear some iceberg.
Hey,
You feel me?
man.
Taking it back.
We had a good run back in '99.
Yeah,
Me and Iceberg had a good run.
Good run, bro. I started coming in with
Around that time,
Iceberg.
I couldn't afford
Techno-Marino.
iceberg. I couldn't afford that shit at that time. It was Nautica t-shirts for me. You
Nah,
feel
man,
me?
I feel you.
Ain't no
I
wrong
feel
with
you.
that.
Hudson's, $20, $24, or $39.99 if you really balling that week.
Yeah.
You feel me?
Ain't nothing wrong with that, man.
Yeah, man, we got
Back.
the good brother Chuck in the building,
I'm
man.
surprised, I'm third time's a charm. I'm surprised I'm back here.
Hey man, we love to have you
come
here
on,
because
man.
you got a lot of strong
Thought your audience would've
strong
ran me off.
opinions that you can stand on.
Man, a lot of
Not
niggas
just
be-
opinions, strong facts.
people be like, "No, man, we fuck with Chuck. I fuck with Chuck too." You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Whether we see eye to eye on shit or not, like I fuck with Chuck. I support this nigga 100%.
The culture need those type of discussions though. We don't have to say we all gentlemen. We don't have to sit here and just get along.
Right.
But the bouncing off of ideas.
You got to
the,
do that.
The mental sparring is always appreciated.
That's a fact, man. I kind of want to.
Because I came real quick. I came the first time I was on y'all show. I was kind of just like, man, let me, I didn't want to make a bad impression on your audience. So I was kind of like pulling my punches a little bit. the second time, the last time I opened up a little bit, but I think this time, bro, I'm gonna really, especially if we, like I said, I'm riding shotgun wherever y'all take me. I'm rolling, but
I know we brought you here to talk about something specific. We want to talk about it.
Yeah,
we want to talk about it.
So it's gonna get it's gonna get heavy today, man. So put your thinking cap on. You know what I'm saying? If you really want to pick up on some shit, learn something, I advise you. I mean, it's going to be here for perpetuity, hopefully, so you can run it back. But, get your pen, your paper, your notes. It's going to be
Popcorn ready.
There's going to be some references, some people, some historical events, some books, some things you can look into, dog. Because I ain't just come up here to just, talk and vent, be stylistic today, man. We going to learn something today because this is a serious topic we're going to get into.
Let's do it.
So before we get into the serious shit, we gotta get. I mean, it's only right.
Only right.
Niggas been
Address the
hitting,
elephant in the room
yeah,
Address the
niggas been hitting
elephant.
us up and
all week long.
Yeah, and I'm kind of cool. I'm kind of glad that we record later in the week to get everybody. All that shit can get out of there. Everybody put their opinions out there. But I just want to talk about some in real life. Shout out to my homeboy D Rick. He dropped a video earlier this week that I agree with 100% of. I just want to talk about some man shit. Some shit between men. A conversation that should be about men, that was involving men, but a lot of people got different views and comments and shit on it. The slap heard around the world.
Right.
Okay.
Where was you? Where was you?
Where was I?
Where was you when the slap happened?
Somewhere not watching the Oscars like
Facts.
most motherfuckers.
Absolutely not.
I found out about it the next day. I woke up, looked at my phone, and I was like, "Oh shit!" I didn't even really understand. I'm like, "What you mean, Will Smith? What you talking about? Like, was it a
That's
skit?"
exactly the.
Yeah, that was like so him and Chris Rock acted something out on the Oscars, and then somebody has sent me like a screen grab of it, but I'm halfway watching TV and then listen to my phone, and I just heard "keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth," and I'm like, this ain't on TV,
Right.
and it was like it's Will Smith. I'm like, I needed to see the whole context, and then once I saw everything that happened,
Your first reaction? What was your first reaction?
I'll be honest. My first reaction is like, dog, this shit is fake as fuck.
Okay.
Was my initial reaction. Number one is the Oscars. These are two actors, and I'm just it's a cut. Somebody didn't press the cuss button. Like it's just a cut scene that went to. It's a skit in the middle of the Oscars. Right. Something that just went too far. But like when I saw him say it the second time, like he had a look of
that lip was quivering.
Yeah, like he had a look like he
like Will can act, but I don't know. If
that was real emotion. Like he meant that. He meant that shit.
Who hasn't been there? You know what I'm saying? Like when you saying something And like, you don't necessarily like, I've been there when your voice kind of shake and quiver and shit. Like, like if I'm angry or at work or in a setting where I wouldn't normally be, and I had to say something, that shit, you be like, damn, my fucking voice cracking, because that means I'm hot.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So initially, I just thought it was a skit, but like when I replayed it back, I'm like, nah, this nigga serious as a motherfucker. Like he meant that shit.
Second thought that went through your head.
Yo, like, so I just share like my anecdotes on shit because I like to use myself as personal reference. I've definitely been in situations where I've been out with a young lady, somebody has said or done something, and I had to interject myself immediately. Sometimes things are a knee-jerk reaction that, you know, you are. I had an incident. Me and my ex-wife was out at Fairlane. Some nigga that was working at Auntie Anne's Pretzels. I'll never forget. It's right there on the corner.
Yeah, for
said
sure.
something out the way to my young wife at the time. I couldn't have been no older than like 24, 25 years old. And I slung the nigga across the counter at Auntie Anne's. Knee-jerk reaction. Right. Because I saw...
How old were you when this happened?
I was like 24, 25. Okay. I got married kind of young. So but in the moment, right, like I was walking away and I wasn't really in earshot of what the nigga said. Right. So I just caught the tail end of it. But when I turned around and I saw the look on my wife's face and the direction where it was coming from, I just felt like I needed to do something. Right. You know what I'm saying? I had to defend her. I had to let the nigga know that shit, she with somebody that love her, and this shit, whatever happened, is not gonna fly. Now, she could have been dead ass wrong. It may not even been what she thought he said, or, you know, because I'm just, like I said, I'm not really in earshot of the conversation, but just seeing the look on her face, seeing the direction she was looking in, I made a reaction. So I think as men, sometimes we are put in those situations, and our first thing is to defend the person that you love. But I also kind of take a different route with it, because I see people saying a lot of, well, we're going to discuss the opinions, but a lot of people give a lot of different opinions on who he should have smacked and all of that. I don't know. We know what we see. We know what they project. We know what they put in front of us. I don't know what go on in closed doors behind two people that's been married over 20 plus years. It's hard for me to say what I would do in that situation, in that type of setting. I'm sure in the heat of battle, he probably thought, you know, this is what needed to be done.
Was this a battle?
No, it wasn't.
Like, like if we're gonna keep it real, like, was this a battle?
It was a comedian doing what comedians do.
Yeah,
now, just because
your situation is
like, if you,
but
I get
you go to the bathroom in the comedy
but
show, you come back and the comedian roasting your wife, do you attack him?
No,
not at all.
You sit in the front row of the comedy show, you know what to expect.
Right.
You know what to expect.
I wouldn't do that.
Now, what some people are saying, they wasn't at a comedy show. Everybody at the Oscars is in on it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Everybody knows front seats. Nobody in those front seats is there by happenstance. Right. Everybody's nominated for something.
Right.
And everybody's a star.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. The whole thing is
the biggest stars in Hollywood.
Yeah. You don't make jokes about the nigga in the last row.
Right.
Like, literally everybody in it.
And
this is not a new occasion.
Right.
This is the gig is up.
They put comedians in these hosting positions to keep it light, keep the show moving, to interact with people,
to interact and to bring
to roast them specifically.
To roast them, to bring them to bring
the
them down
comedians
to earth,
at the Oscar don't tell regular jokes.
Yeah.
It's all roast.
Yeah, and it's to bring the just to bring the celebrity sort of down to a human level, because you got people. I mean, it's nothing but nothing more than a glorified awards banquet. You know what I'm saying? For rich wealthy people, famous or whatever. And so, you want to see them kind of, pierce that veil a little bit. So you want to kind of see them sort of self-deprecate and kind of, roast and talk about each other a little bit. Why would I want to sit there and watch these people fawn over each other?
Well, so that's perfectly stated, because that's the literal reason.
Yeah.
That's the reason that they do that shit.
Yeah.
It's not like this is a one-off. Every single one, the goal is to poke fun at the stars.
Yeah.
And if you get poked fun of, that means you're somebody because we're not poking fun at niggas we never heard of.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, was the joke that bad?
Nah, man.
No, I don't believe it was I don't believe in intent. It was malicious.
Nah, not at
I
all.
really don't. It may not have been well received, but do I believe Chris Rock's intent was to be malicious? No. And then
It wasn't well received by Jada, but the crowd didn't seem to.
and when they showed her initial reaction, she gave it an eye roll. But I mean, all right. So I mean, nothing out of the ordinary for like a comedian banter with an audience.
Right. Let's just say,
let's throw this out there too. A lot of it's a significant amount of folks out there that still hold on to the conspiracy theory aspect of it, like it was fake. You know what I mean? But we just gonna assume that it was. You know what I mean?
Let's assume that it was real.
That it was legit. You know
Let's
what I mean?
assume that the joke was intentional. I meant to roast you on purpose. Does that justify somebody leaving the stage?
Nah, bro.
Leaving the stage and attacking somebody?
I'm Will Smith, bro. Come on, man. I'm at the Oscars. I'm not walking up on stage smacking somebody, man.
I can see him walking up on stage. I honestly can. But to walk up on stage and assault him, that's
different. Yeah.
I get checking a nigga exactly where he got you fucked up at. Like if you need to check a nigga in the moment, even at the Oscars, even in that setting, I believe there may have been like a Will funny as damn self. Shoot that nigga some shit right back from your chair.
Yeah.
Like take the focus off of my wife. We go back and forth for a little bit. We move on. Now, if I really got a problem with you, the celebrity is a very small community. I'll see you. I'll see you soon, and we'll talk about it then.
Was the focus on Jada? That was a fleeting 1.2 second. If he wouldn't attacked him, no one would have
just went over.
My nigga, no one remembered that shit ever happened.
Yeah.
That was it was 1 or 2 seconds.
Everybody would have been talking about everything else.
2 seconds is a long time.
Yeah.
1 or 2 seconds. Tops.
But nobody would have talked about it like it wouldn't have been on the front page the next day. It'd have just been over with.
Absolutely.
Y'all really in y'all heart of hearts, y'all really think he was trying to defend his wife's honor?
Nah, man. You know what the streets is saying.
It was the right place, wrong time. It was just one of those situations. But it was a build up, and this is just where it came out.
It's a build up for everything else that's been going on with Bill. You know, with Jada and
he saw the right person to try that shit.
He saw the right person to try it with.
If Jason Momoa would have made that comment on stage, if The Rock would have made the comment on if Steve Harvey would have made that same
Mike Epps.
Exactly. Mike
he'd have said
Cat Williams.
Cat Williams ain't playing.
A smaller man. Whether he can beat Will or not, I'm swinging back. I'm swinging, but like you looked at him like he that nigga that's still on. Because in real life, he that nigga that's still on. And that's not like as a disrespect or slight to Chris Rock. He got his own personal issue.
And it's now people digging back and they highlight
the Asperger's disease. I think it is
some of the prior interviews with Chris Rock, and then they making reference to the Everybody Loves Chris show. And it was a funny show.
About him getting bullied.
It was about him getting bullied.
He even was in an interview relatively recently. He was like, "Nigga, I've been beat up and robbed multiple times. See, nigga, the last time I got punched in the face and jumped and my wallet got took was when I first started on Saturday Night Live. Like, nigga, I'm a relative." Somebody by that time like that, like I've been quote unquote, because all the conversation has been talking about Will's mental health and all the other shit. Like, what about a nigga that you just emasculated and did all that shit on screen?
Did you see recently one of the interviews? Chris Rock was saying that once upon a time when he was younger, when he finally decided to stand up for himself against one of the bullies at his high school, he was talking about how he put a brick inside of a book bag. And he beat another kid with a brick inside of a book bag, and he said, man, you know, and he stomped him out. You know what I'm saying? And he said that was the first time he had ever really gotten physical with somebody, and he really hurt him. And he said, you know, he was worried for a minute because they thought the kid was gonna die. This is his own personal story he's telling. And he said according to his therapist, because you know I guess he's been to therapy, that his therapist communicated to him like, Chris, I think from that moment on, you've been scared
of confrontation,
to get angry again, because he had been picked on and bullied for so long. He finally rose up, and when he just snapped, he almost killed somebody, and he's been afraid to get angry with somebody ever again. So you know, he's not a guy that's going to, you know, fight you back if you hit him. I guess.
I mean, we seen him, Louis C.K. on. Calling him, well, not calling him a nigga,
but using that N-word very liberally.
And if I'm being real, I'm very uncomfortable in that conversation, right? It looked like Chris was uncomfortable, but he played along with it.
I haven't seen that. There was like a sit down, they were talking, and Louis C.K. was
Louis C.K., Jerry Steinfeld, Ricky Gervais, and matter of fact, I'll play it. So you can.
There's a lot of N-word floating around in that video.
I just be wondering, man. Cause my man, like I said, I heard about it. I was just like, man. I don't know, but I just was like, just celebrity drama, bro. I mean,
people are rich, they're just rich forever and ever. Even their kids are rich. Yeah. But when a black guy gets rich, it's countdown to when he's poor again.
He's the blackest white guy I fucking know. And then all the negative things we think about black people, this fucker.
You're saying I'm a nigger.
Yes, you are the niggerest fucking white man I have ever.
Amazing.
I don't think he could do that.
What?
I don't think he has those qualities.
You don't even understand.
Really?
You don't really know him. Like, I've worked with him.
No, like your bit about.
I wouldn't use it anywhere.
No, exactly. These two.
We
use
say
that
nigger on stage.
On stage.
You guys don't. That's
that's
interesting.
the
Two
difference.
teams
That's
here.
the difference between
That's right.
So I'll just stop it right there. So like,
so it goes on. He says it a few more times.
yeah. So like, he not like, if you okay with that, you'll let a lot of shit pass. You know what I'm saying? Not saying that you, in that particular situation, your friend for 20 years, you're supposed to attack him and fight, whatever the fuck. But like, Chris Rock just seems like, all intents and purposes, this the nigga I can steal on.
Right.
And like, when I first seen it, I thought that shit was fake at first, because the punch or the slap sounded like a movie punch.
Yeah.
Like, yo, this shit sound.
And the motion.
Yeah.
You know, it didn't look like a typical slap motion. It kind of looked a bit stiff. He came.
Yeah.
It wasn't like two niggas arguing at the liquor store.
Yeah.
Like these were. That's why I felt like it was fake. Just how he.
Yeah, the motion.
I done smacked another man in the face.
Yeah.
You know?
After that, I was like,
and you smack somebody, you kind of go from here to here.
Yeah.
Will kind of came up and
like
then
it was a
went down.
movie or something.
You know what I'm saying? And it was just like, no, wait, let me see that shit in slow motion.
It was a wrestling move. Like, you got to sell it. You got to sell it while we up on the stage.
Then I thought, man, that shit was weak as hell, dog. Like, I really thought that, like, man, I know a hoe ass nigga when I see one. Some hoe ass shit when I see one. And I think as men, you got to be able to call that shit out and be like, nigga, that's not no manly shit to do.
Will get dragged. He getting dragged by everybody.
That doesn't mean that I feel like Will should be admonished and tore down and kicked out of all that other, counsel, all that dumb shit. What I'm thinking is that was clearly an error in judgment.
Right.
But niggas are praising the error. You can't praise the error. It was an error. You had a weak moment, whatever it is, but niggas is acting like, I wish that shit would keep on happening. Yeah, most niggas need to stand up for black women, all this shit.
No. I'm with you on that. No, it can't keep happening.
We're not going to play that game.
No, it can't. That's not.
See, I ain't want to go. See?
Because what I've been hearing
Protecting black
about
what kind of punky ass shit is that? Go ahead. Bro.
What I've been hearing about is this toxic masculinity shit that's been plagued. But like, so you mean to tell me there is no other way for a man to diffuse a conflict than the physical violence?
Yeah.
Because if anything's supposed to be quote unquote toxic masculinity, as soon as somebody say something, let me go attack him. Mm-hmm. Because I'm a violent nigga. If we being 100%, but I don't get into violent altercations every time because I'm an adult who know how to handle conflict resolution.
Absolutely. I'm not saying that, like, I'm not above violence taking place.
Right,
Like,
we talking about two millionaires. We talking about a group of celebrities, right? And we talking about an award presenter on stage, and he made a joke. You know, I mean,
he did what he was supposed to do.
What happened to you, at the mall, like I said, it's something, completely different. When those evolutionary instincts kick in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In your brain, it's like your lower brain, you got two men. I mean, it's your wife, but I don't know. You didn't say exactly what he said, but
I can't even remember what he said, but I just know, like, that was my wife.
Right. 'Cause you know how they say, you got certain places where you shouldn't, like places where couples, for example, shouldn't be. Like couples shouldn't be at the club, or you shouldn't be there. Especially like as a man, you don't want to put yourself in a position of vulnerability to be made to look like a punk in front of your woman when you run across a dude and he's 6-7 niggas deep and it's just you and your lady or just you and her little group of friends. You know
Absolutely, but
or even if it's just you, your lady, and another dude. You know what I mean? If he like her, if he see, dudes is just. I mean, we can get to just the whole,
you be out in environments, and sometimes the wolves are just out.
Yeah, the wolves are just out.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. And then just from a mammalian perspective, when you see another potential mate, it kicks that testosterone goes into overdrive because your evolutionary brain is telling you you have to compete with this man for the right to mate with this female. So you two are automatically not, and that man who, for example, and this is why, you know, my woman, if my wife and she go out with her friends, she hanging, she doing whatever, like go have a girls' night, man, do your thing. You know, I know men gonna approach, they're gonna say little things or whatever. I would rather not see it, not because not because I'm necessarily a jealous guy. I'm gonna fly into a rage. It's just that man isn't going to be as contrary to what some people may believe. He may not be as disrespectful if he approaches you in an ill manner. He won't be as disrespectful towards you if you're by yourself than he would be if I was there. Because it's not only about you; it's about making me look small.
Absolutely,
you know
absolutely,
and
absolutely.
So he gets extra aggressive. You know what I'm saying? Because
especially if you're with friends.
Exactly. I just said that when you was gone, because he can look like the superior male. It's something in the mammalian brain.
It's that pack mentality.
Yeah.
It's that pack mentality. Yeah. You know, I got a really good friend of mine, and her current, well, it's her husband now. They're an interracial couple. She's a very curvaceous woman, and when she was dating,
she's black or what?
She's black.
Okay,
she's black. Her husband is white. When she was dating him, and they live in the South.
I bet you they couldn't go nowhere.
They live in the South. So I mean, when she was dating him, she would tell me all the time, like they'd be out somewhere and niggas would try him.
His ass. Yep.
Niggas would try him every time they would go out.
Yep. I bet you she can probably go somewhere by herself and wouldn't get that much attention.
Absolutely.
But when she with him, yeah.
And then the fact that he's white, he's not a big guy, he's kind of slight in build.
Yeah.
Then it's adding that even more on to it. Like
they be like,
oh, Lord have mercy, another coon.
Here you go.
Your boy.
You looked at the clock and was like, okay, we 30 minutes in. It's time to turn Chuck
I'm fucking with it. I'm fucking
It's
with
time
that
to
shit.
turn Chuck up.
That's interesting though.
But all that shit then with Tupac and all that shit with, you know, did you see when Will was talking about how he was just insanely jealous?
Yeah.
Because you know.
I mean, I got his book.
Nigga, your wife's been masturbating to Tupac for 30 years.
I mean, I got his book, right?
Yeah.
And he gets into, he talks about how he essentially saw his father beating his mother.
He didn't
and
do
felt
anything.
like a coward because he never stepped in.
Stood up for her. Yeah.
So like, I don't think what happened on Sunday was about that joke. I think everybody's pretty much on that same
page. If anything,
right?
On that same
so like,
page.
damn, how many times can you not protect the person, quote unquote, next to you, right? How about we don't know? What if all this entanglement shit, like nigga, that's how we get down, right? Yeah. That's
what I'm saying. We don't know what that arrangement is between those two people. We just know what they show us.
Right? They won't say.
But it looks like I ain't been protecting her. Right. Or it looks like I'm getting.
You look like some kind of punk.
I look like the punk, and I'm like, no, nigga, this what I said I was going to do. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So like, I don't think it was about that. My biggest issue.
Ego a motherfucker. Hey man,
that was an ego thing.
Yeah, ego thing for sure.
That wasn't let me protect black women. Like, let me protect my own ego.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying that to say it. Based on what we know, based on what he says from his own book, like, and we all know it wasn't about that joke because that joke was nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing I'm concerned about, it ain't Will Smith. It's the notion that we think, or some people are saying, I want this to happen more. This what should happen. This, and this.
Now you just talking about with this defending women thing, or just with comedians? Because I'm
talking about from some of the people I've been saying on my timeline and say we need more people to start socking niggas and doing this if they disrespectful.
That is not the answer. That is not the answer.
And I tell you why that's so fucking horrible. One, you're gonna get somebody killed, and it's gonna be a black man.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Listen, look at these numbers, dog. Absolutely. And this is here specifically in the city of Detroit.
You try that shit with a nigga here, he gonna shoot you.
Yeah.
And in 2016, there was 312 homicides. 279 of those victims was black male. 279 of those people were black, and 246 of those were male. Think about that. So all the killing that was in 2016. In 2021, so was 309 homicides.
Okay.
1,065 non-fatal shootings. Over 80% of these people, black males. So when you tell somebody that the way that you resolve conflict whenever someone hurts my feelings is to go get up there and punch somebody, it's already niggas getting killed.
Yeah.
Like, that's bad advice.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying don't protect your loved ones, but the first reaction can't be to go to violence because you're going to get yourself killed. This not no abstract place that we pulling this information. Right here where we live at. It's black men getting murdered by other black men. And if your idea is the only way that you can protect me is to go fight somebody who made me feel bad. Now, we done had this conversation. We touched on it. You had this conversation with your ladies, your daughters, your loved ones, whatever. If you give me a phone call to come somewhere, you got to realize there's a great possibility you won't ever see me again. Either I'm going to go there in your honor and do something to get me put in prison, or I'm going to go over there and get killed.
Put in the ground.
So you don't call me when your feelings hurt.
That's right.
You call me when you in danger.
Yeah.
That's the protection
That's what
on that level.
That's right.
On the other thing is, yes, I can admonish somebody. I can address them like, hey, my man, this not cool, whatever. And if something happens, something happens. But like the idea that, no, this...
I'm a call my baby daddy and he gonna handle that shit.
You said something. With your life, first of all, this is what we need to get out of this bullshit, y'all. You said something. You said, I come when your life is in danger. But it's like, baby, why the fuck you calling me? If your life is in danger right now, you need to be calling the fucking police. Let's call it what it is. What the fuck is you reaching it? What you think where all this money going? I mean, what the fuck you think they spending all this shit on? So you gonna call, a woman to fuck around be in the midst of having a motherfucking heart attack and will call her motherfucking man or her husband and tell her, baby, I don't feel good. I feel like I'm about to pass out. You can be all the way across town somewhere. And then when you be like, okay, well, babe, what you want me to do? They look at you like, well, you don't care. You're being insensitive. It's like, no, I can't do anything for you right now. You need to you know what you're supposed to do. You're not a child. You understand what I'm saying? So we could talk.
Chuck, I'm glad that you touched on that because I have a pure disdain for that damsel in distress shit.
Yeah.
Take a deep breath and be an adult for 20 seconds.
Right.
I'm on the same page, right? But that's because we men and we wired differently. Women are more or less wired on the emotional side of things because you're the most important person to me.
But I'm saying, you can tell your woman that. But
I want you to.
But you need to call because that's what they get paid to do. They get paid. If you are in danger, we need to. Well, that's gonna lead into shit we might talk about later.
But I feel what you're saying because like certain situations. I never forget a few years ago I was dating a young lady and I bought her like AAA. I'm at work. You got roadside assistance. I promise you AAA will be there before I make it there.
That's right.
I promise you they'll be there. Now, if you want somebody to sit on the side of the road with you, that's something different. But like, if you have an active emergency, they can
exactly.
I pay $50 a year, so they will come out to change your tire.
You on me, yeah.
Like,
but no, Jay, I ain't got nothing else to add, bro. You nailed it, dog. Straight up and down.
That shit just dangerous, man.
Absolutely,
I do think that we should be protecting our loved ones, male, female, son, daughter, otherwise. However, it just can't be one-sided.
Yeah, the problem.
I seen somebody post, somebody I like and I respect. They posted, well, if y'all don't want to protect black women by using violence, what do you suggest? Write a stern letter? Now, this same person,
oh God, that's
love her. You feel me? Ain't you against whoopings for children?
Oh,
how you like? No violence towards children when you raising them, right? But
you don't want another grown man disciplining that child.
Yes, you discipline him at home, or somebody gonna discipline him in the streets.
Yeah, that's because the black race or the black community, we have an immense cultural issue, and that a lot of people don't want to talk about. But I might talk about it tonight. Yeah, we have a massive problem, and even though we acknowledge. It's not everyone, but there's a pattern, right? This kind of subculture, this underbelly. you know, to the extent that we are willing to acknowledge it, we still don't want to accept responsibility because of our worldview, which is what I'm gonna get into.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Just to put a bow on that shit, like I'm not ready to cancel Will or like
It doesn't need to be canceled. It's
No
not a
shit
mental
like
health
that.
situation.
well, it could be with him or with both, or all parties involved. But what I mean is, like, we can acknowledge that a nigga had a bad day, slapped the shit out of somebody.
Right.
It's been there, done that, unfortunately, right?
Yeah.
But don't praise the mistake. Like, just don't praise the mistake.
Side note, I know we gonna move on from this topic, but I don't watch that Red Table Talk show. I mean, what the fuck I'm gonna watch that shit for?
But they announced they're gonna be addressing it on there.
Okay, I saw a clip just resurfaced.
Of course. Why wouldn't you talk about it on your platform?
Platform, right? It resurfaced for me that, you know, Jada was once upon a time on her Table Talk show. She was talking about how her grandmother. Did you see this shit? Her grandmother talked to her about masturbation. She was 9 years old. How wonderful it was, and she was so glad. She was so happy that her grandmother introduced her. I don't know.
That's a fact.
I don't know if she showed her how to do it or what.
Well, you know, that's one of those.
But because I dropped a live stream about, you know.
I saw it.
Yeah, I've gotten to some other shit. I wasn't even talking about that slap, but, you know, I ain't trying to promote it, you know, whatever. But yeah, I just threw that out there just because we talking about Jada, and I just was like, wow, well, there you go, okay, yeah,
man.
But anyway,
so look, man, a couple weeks ago, YouTube algorithm threw me a video.
YouTube algorithm,
and it was about critical race theory, and I watched the video and I liked it. You feel me? I thought it was pretty cool. I ain't really got all the way into the whole critical race theory shit. I know what I hear from like headlines and shit. And I know I never heard that shit in school. So I'm like, how long has this been going on and blah, blah, blah. And it was, the title of the video was like, I'm going to put it in the, in the show notes so y'all can take a listen and shit. But I watched it and I was like, it was two white folks. And a black woman, professor, you know, all degreed up and everything. And they were just asking questions and she was explaining. It was like, we don't understand. What it looked like to me was like, yo, two white folks was like, this is Jason's, this is my, like, yo, we don't like this critical race theory shit. It sounds like some nigga shit. I need you to explain to me what the fuck this is. And then I thought she did I think she pretty much did a good job. And I think at like first they wanted to push back, but as they kept going, they didn't have nothing to push back on, and they had like a really cool conversation, so to speak. And I was like, man, like I'm not an expert in this theory. I'm like, let me send this shit to Chuck. I wonder what Chuck think about this video and shit. And then they gave me back a little while. I was like, I'm hot. he was like, nigga, thanks for riling me up early in the morning. This shit,
man, early in the morning, man. And I just skimmed through it a little bit, right? Okay, I said, what the hell? Okay, I skimmed through it. And then I said, man, I'm gonna wait. And then when I ended up when you was like, yo, man, I might have a spot open, man. You might be able to come through and get down next week. And that's when I finally watched it from beginning to end. That's only about an hour long. It took me almost 2 hours to get through it because I kept having to stop it. And I would take a couple deep breaths. I would get some pieces. I would walk around the room. I said, okay, I'm ready. Come back, listen to another 3-4 minutes. I said, man, what the fuck? I said, man, hold on, man. So I grabbed my
So that's really what I wanted to bring, because like I didn't have that same reaction. You know what I'm saying? But you look into this shit more than I do. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to have a conversation on it. I'm gonna play like the first
because this is a big issue. This is going to be a hot button topic leading up to November. And for the foreseeable future, as far as American politics are concerned.
So I'm gonna play a little bit of it. This is how they started the conversation, and then we'll have our own conversation after this.
Answer questions that we may have on the issue of critical race theory being taught in schools or just critical race theory. So, one of the first questions I had, because honestly, I think that our society's gotten to a point to where most news shows, it's just you put up a protagonist and an antagonist and it's just back and forth. So just to make sure, how would you define critical race theory to just like a layman, just somebody like us?
Critical race theory, thank you for that question. Critical race theory is a legal theory developed out of Harvard Law. And what it looks at the ways that the law creates race, and then the way that the law sustains inequality via racism. So when you think about, for instance, there's a wonderful article by a scholar named Cheryl Harris, and it was called Whiteness as Property. And what she looked at there was the way that whites would sue in court if the press identified them as Negro, identified them as black. And they were like, this is an assault on my identity. This is an assault. And being called Negro carried with it damages. And so it was whiteness as property, how whites carry with them a value system in this nation. And so that's critical race theory looks at the ways that the law develops race and the way that it sustains racism.
Okay.
Boom. So from our point, like the critical race theory is specifically about law and how the legal system has allegedly created something and how it kind of sustains it. And it's taught to college students, not like teenagers or sixth graders, K through 8, whatever. So I was just confused where all this whole critical race theory shit came up. And I've been seeing like clips online, like, we don't want this taught in our schools. Like, it's not. Unless I'm out the loop, it's not. Like, that's some shit that was, unless you want to go into law, it's not taught there. Now, what are your thoughts?
You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
Now, like I said, it took me a while to get through that because what was her name, Dr. Carol Anderson?
Yeah.
Dr. Carol Anderson from Emory University. She claims to be a professor of history and African American studies. Let me tell you something. Anytime you hear somebody talking about they are a professor of African American studies, they are not a professor of African American studies. What they are somewhat, I would consider them to be sort of like hellfire and brimstone preachers. And they are preaching inside sort of like the seminary of secularism, because African American studies is not about learning about African American people. It is no different from gender studies in college or women's studies. Those aren't academic disciplines. Those are political parties. And they will tell you that when you read their literature. Notice she's giving you a bunch of definitions that sound cute, that sound good, but she's not referring specifically to the individuals that coined the theory and that defined it for themselves in their own literature. African American studies is not a discipline, just like critical race theory is not a discipline. What it is an ideology that seeks, or it is a system or theory that seeks to, and this is their own words, put ideology into praxis. Praxis is a Greek word that means to act. There's an activist component to critical race theory. Now she talks about it's law. It's a legal theory. It's not a legal theory. A legal theory or critical legal studies because you talked about it's a theory that came from Harvard, from a law professor. She didn't name his name, but his name is Derek Bell. He made himself famous when he wrote his magnum opus book entitled Faces at the Bottom of the Well, the subtitle which is The Permanence of Racism. He uses the term permanence of racism. That's one of those professorial words that people who are outside the academic bubble don't realize, because it would seem as though he could have easily used the word permanent instead of permanence. He uses the word permanence because racism is not permanent. It's permanent. It's permanent as it pertains to the system as it is currently constructed, which means that the system and what we call legal reasoning and constitutional law has to be overturned for something that is more equitable, according to him. Now, critical, like I say, it's critical legal studies, and then there's also critical race theory. There's lat crit. There's genderqueer theories. Postmodernism, post-colonial theory, there's a climate, all these various things. And it all stems from critical theory as a theory. And critical theory got its start in Germany in the early 1920s amongst a group of German Jews. And this is, when she said, like I say, Derek Bell, you know, he made his bones in the 1980s. But critical theory is a long line of scholarship that goes back over 100 years.
So she said, or it was said in the video.
I don't want to just sit up here and monologue because I want you to kind of chime in and ask questions. Because if you ask, hold on, real quick, Jay, when you ask me what critical race theory is, I would have to ask a person, well, what do you know about critical race theory? And then I can kind of do my best to sort of fill in.
So that's kind of what I'm saying. So she was basically was like in college, they give you a whole bunch of shit and they let the kids to make up their mind, allegedly, make up their mind about what they want to do.
Right.
So we saying is, if we think that, let me see how she explained it.
Okay.
Like if things are a certain way right now, like white folks got more money than black people, it just is what it is. So they just wanted to look inside of the legal system to see if there is anything that was done in the legal system to help create this. And the whole thing is supposed to be an examination and not like a statement of fact and saying, yo, this is the end.
No.
That's how it's positioned.
That's how it's, she's a liar. She's a liar just like
liar or she could she be misunderstood?
I don't know if she's a liar or if she's just a bad scholar. Or maybe she's just both. But to be a Marxist, you must accept the reality that in order to bring about this goal of a more equitable society, the means always justify the ends, even if you have to lie. Like I say, this whole examination of the law. See, what she's saying is, I wrote it down. The law sustains inequality via racism, and she equates whiteness as a system of property. So when we're talking about Marxist-style liberation, we're talking about liberating humanity from the very concept of property itself. She links property to whiteness. She doesn't, because see, here's what they do. In order to obfuscate and hide the fact that they themselves are bigots, they don't point out white people. They point out the system of white supremacy or whiteness that they claim white people are the beneficiaries of. And if they aren't, according to someone like Ibram X. Kendi, actively going about the business of trying to destroy, never mind what you do in your personal life as a white person. You may not be a racist if you are a white person, but it's not enough for you to be a good person. You must be an active anti-racist, which means you have to adopt the mindset and the beliefs of the neo-Marxists.
So do you believe that?
Hold on real quick. Hold that thought, because I want to read something, Jay. Now this here, because I got quotes too. I got stuff I want to read too. Mind you, they talk about critical race. It's just this Republican boogeyman. They're doing it to galvanize their base, or white people are getting upset because we're talking about history now and such and so forth. No, they operate from a basic premise. It's their meta narrative, and that is that the law was created, or society as a whole was created by white people and for the benefit of white people. And it will always be that way, no matter how much progress we make. The more progress we make, it simply makes it harder for racism to spot. And that's where the scholar comes in, because it is their duty to show people and point out where the racists are and where the racism is, because most people can't see it as we go further towards a more equitable society.
You think it's going to be harder for racism to spot?
No, I'm not. This is not me. What I'm saying. This is not what I'm saying.
No. I'm just saying, just the theory itself. Do you honestly, do you buy into that at all? Because
no.
I think racism, it may be harder to spot a nigga in the Klan hood at like how it was maybe back in the 60s and 70s. Right. But you can spot things and point on systematically that are definitely dead set like this is racist.
Okay, hold on. Now it depends. It depends upon your methodology. What they look at is asymmetrical outcome distributions. They look at disparate outcome distributions as proof.
Yeah, I get that. So here's an example of that.
I just really wanted to read this quote. Hold that thought, bro. Because this is from Critical Race Theory, the book written by two scholars named Richard Delgado and Gene Stefanchik, co-authored this book. Anybody who wants to know what critical race theory is, just listen to what they say. Mind you, I said that critical race theory attempts to transform ideology into practice. It is an academic discipline that cannot exist without the presence of activism. That's not what scholarship is. It reads, the movement considers many of the same issues that conventional civil rights and ethnic study discourses take up, but places them in a broader perspective that includes economics, history, context and self-interest, group and self-interest, context, and even feelings and the unconscious. The unconscious. So even if you don't act out on some kind of racism, your racism is unconscious. This is based upon a book/essay written by the founder of the New Left, a German from the Frankfurt School named Herbert Marcuse, in his book, Eros and Civilization, where he brings the Freudian aspect of psychodynamics into Marxian theory.
But do you think everybody who is on the left or who is down with critical race theory know any of that shit? Or are they actively?
I don't know if she's a bad scholar or is she a liar. Like I said, there's mountains of scholarship about this. But they write this stuff. Like I said, this is not new. This is not new. Like her personally, like I say, I don't know if she's just ignorant or if she's purposely lying or if she's a bad scholar. But I can look at somebody like her with bad faith because that's what they do. They have to lie.
So here's an example.
I ain't even started yet, bro.
I think the city of Ferndale was facing like a lawsuit because like 80% of the speeding tickets they gave out was given out to like black people, and 80% of the city of Ferndale isn't black, and people just driving through Ferndale aren't black, ain't 80% black, and studies have shown that white people and black people commit driving infractions at the same time. I mean, at the same rate. So it's just like a statistical anomaly that doesn't exist in other areas of random data, that 80% of the people who are ticketed happen to be black. So if somebody wanted to research and look through data and everything to find out why is that, I'm thinking like that's what the critical race theory is. Because you mentioned that like they look at data and they say, look, if the data look weird, it has to be something. But if the exploration of that data, is there an issue with the exploration of that data? Because that number don't exist in other places. You know what I'm saying? Like that's like if you went to a city in the city of Detroit. No, you go to Bloomfield Hills and only black people get tickets. Like that doesn't even make, you can't flip a coin that many times and then only get, you know what I'm saying?
You heard that music?
It's probably
okay. Oh, okay.
But like, so the exploration of that, like I think people should explore that shit. You know what I'm saying?
That's not what critical race theory is. I don't know about Ferndale, because like I said, I saw a similar study conducted in New Jersey where they looked at the disproportionate.
I mean, the practice happens everywhere.
Right, the disproportionate, but what I've seen studies say the complete opposite. Not the complete opposite in terms of the amount, where the tickets are divvied out, the racial component of it. But they did look that it was disproportionate, that black people were issued tickets disproportionately more. But the very same studies discovered that I think it was the mayor of New Jersey conducted a study. You can look this up. She had it done, I think, 2 or 3 times because she didn't believe the initial results. And then she had 2 different group of statisticians do the research, and they came to the same conclusion that the reason why blacks were issued tickets disproportionately more was because they disproportionately committed the offense. Now, like I said, if you want to say, well, black people and white people have the same exact driving habits, fine, bro. Listen.
But I think if the cameras were doing that, right?
And most of the time,
if it was a camera system, that'd be different, right? But if it's an individual person who picks and choose who pulls over,
that's the thing. I don't know when these tickets were issued. I don't know if it was nighttime, daytime, tints on your windows, no tints on your windows. I don't know the race of the ticketing officer. I don't know if the officer could see the race of the person behind the to me, like I don't.
But when data look funny, I think people start investigating.
And when the data you can investigate, but if you already have a narrative in your mind. And that's what critical race theory is all about. This is their own literature. It's about narrative weaving and storytelling, even revisionist history. This is what the 1619 Project is all about. They say that in their very own literature. When we want to discover, when we say, man, what is critical race theory? Let me go here, man. Because, like I said, I brought up a man by the name of Herbert Marcuse. Herbert Marcuse, where did he teach? I'm having a brain freeze, but nevertheless, that Angela Davis was his doctoral student.
Mm-hmm.
He taught Angela Davis to this very day is still an unrepentant communist who was convicted. She tried to kidnap a judge at the point of a shotgun or whatever it was that she did. This is the same exact woman who openly showed her support, or publicly proclaimed her support for Jim Jones. I know you all know who Jim Jones is. Jim Jones was not some Christian heretic charlatan who killed a bunch of people. No, Jim Jones was going to use his influence in the church as a pastor to bring people over into his very particular social vision. But it was Angela Davis who was the kind of primary matriarch of the Black feminist movement, because the Black feminist movement grew out of the Black liberationist movement. Mind you, this woman is talking about critical legal studies, a term that was popularized in the late 1980s by Derek Bell. But critical theory or critical race, those elements were in the society back in the 1960s, 1950s. In 1920, in 1910, I'm trying to remember I can't remember the exact year. But the person who popularized this idea that they called it orthodox style of Marxism or a vulgar style of Marxism. It means the same thing, okay? Karl Marx was specifically concerned with the material dialectic. I'm going somewhere with this. In Italy, there was an Italian Marxist named Antonio Gramsci. Antonio Gramsci. He was imprisoned sometime during the 1920s, if I'm not mistaken, by Benito Mussolini, the fascist leader of Italy, because the fascists and the communists were at war with one another all across Europe at the time. Antonio Gramsci, and this is where he wrote the bulk of his work, was from behind bars. This is where he wrote the bulk of his work. His work would eventually find its way to Germany, where it was translated into various languages. And once it finally made its way to the United States in the 1960s, Antonio Gramsci's work, it was translated into English by none other than the father of Pete Buttigieg.
That's wild.
Antonio Gramsci, he wanted to know and could not understand why there were no socialist communist revolutions in the West. What he concluded was he came up with a term known as cultural hegemony. Cultural hegemony. Antonio Gramsci is considered the father of cultural Marxism because what he determined was that the oppressed internalized bourgeois values. So knowledge exists only as an expression of power. So the reason why you don't have rebellions in the West is because the people have internalized bourgeois culture. So there needs to be a class awakening of the proletariat. So there needs to be, and this is when I talked about this before when I was on here. I talked about this is where we get, it's sort of like a kind of like a social media, it's kind of urban colloquialism now when we use the term woke. But this is what the term woke means, is that there has to be an awakening of a working class conscious. And what Antonio Gramsci came to the conclusion of is that we need to show people the reality of their oppression. All of these concepts that came out of the period of Enlightenment rationalism, or where we come up with the term or the concept of classical liberalism, where we get ideas like legal reasoning, rationalism, the scientific method, the Enlightenment, and all these various things, individual liberty, property rights. all of these things simply exist as a means by which to convince people who are in fact slaves that they aren't slaves, and if they had a better mind about themselves, they would be overthrowing the system. Because Gramsci was trying to find a way to get Marxism to spread in the West.
Chuck, I'm glad that you mentioned that point, because I was watching something earlier that, and somebody was saying something to that same extent, that we have, we got bank cards, we got access to internet, we can come and go as we please, we got cars, good jobs, but like that's literally just the bare minimum, and they have tricked us into thinking that the bare minimum is some type of access to luxury, while they still live over and above the bare minimum means that we're scrapping over.
Well, here's the thing. Say but everybody can't live in a life. And the reason, and I don't want to get like too bogged down specifically with economics, but the only reason why that computer, this microphone, this phone, and everything else, why you make enough money to be able to afford it, presumably with one paycheck, is because of the rich and the wealthy, because the mere existence of the rich and the wealthy makes goods that we commonly take for granted, that we utilize on a daily basis, it makes them cheaper. I don't want to get too bogged down specifically with the economics, because we're talking about critical race theory.
So you mentioned and when you was explaining critical race theory, they think that that America was a land for white people, made by white people for white people. Do you believe that there are white people who believe that as well?
No, yeah. I mean, I would have to. You ask me, got some motherfuckers think, all kind of things. I mean, there's hundreds of. We talking about people in this country specifically, or just anywhere?
They think America was made for white people, by white people, and it should be that.
And there are hundreds of millions of people in this country, and the people think stupid things. But you cannot take that. This is why you don't see. Like I say, bro, back in the night. What year was that? When Coolidge was. Anyway, bro, I could pull it up on my phone somewhere. I mean, when you had Klansmen marching 1,000 members deep. Yeah. In New York, down Madison Avenue, whatever. Like, there's a reason why you don't see this anymore. Because as a culture, see, if there is no safe space by which one can just go out and just indulge in this wickedness. It doesn't exist. So you got to chase it. You got to make it up. Why? Because it's beneficial for the sake of the dictatorship, not of the bourgeoisie, but the dictatorship of the anti-racists, the dictatorship of the intellectual.
So you think, and correct me if I'm wrong,
racism doesn't have any power. You can't do that shit, you get your ass whooped. A white person go out in the street and go get to yelling and screaming, doing whatever.
You said racism doesn't have any power?
It doesn't have any power for an individual to just go out there and just publicly be. You got all types of, whether because we talking about law. I mean, for crying out loud, you can't even blow on somebody the wrong way.
Now, Chuck, I don't. Depending on who you are. Chuck, I don't agree with that.
There's an entire legal apparatus out there. There's a massive legal industrial complex specifically for slip and fall lawyers, ambulance chasers, looking to sue companies on the basis.
Doesn't mean it ends up being equal for everybody.
I'm gonna fall back, bro. Y'all look it up.
But Chuck,
y'all look it up when the show is over.
When you say like there's no platform for people to be outwardly racist, literally just 2-3 years ago, people were outwardly racist while Trump was in office. He gave them white people,
like who?
Individual people.
Be specific.
Okay, the nigga that keep running down Telegraph with the giant truck with all the lights on it. It looks like a New York City street sign. I mean, people were outwardly racist, but that don't mean that all 370 million people in the country were. But
he made it comfortable for people to be outwardly racist about how they fit. Chuck,
no, he didn't.
The climate was a lot different 2 to 3 years ago than what it is right now.
When the studies initially came out about the racial divide in this country, it was a trend. It was trending in the wrong direction. These numbers, these surveys came out in 2013 when Barack Obama was entering his second year of his second term, when the Black Lives Matter movement jumped off. Let's not make it seem like Donald Trump led to this big increase in the racial schism in this country. That happened under Barack Obama. Since we want to go there,
but did it happen?
Since we want to go, it happened. Yes, it did happen. Yeah. And the reason why, and the type of bigotry, because you only see, we talk about one-way aggression. When it comes to male, female, female, male, there's one-way aggression in this country. In the mainstream, there's only one place where you allowed to be openly racist towards one particular group of people, and it's white people. Let's call a spade a spade. Anytime you are on a popular entertainment medium or anywhere, CNN News, MSNBC, anywhere, you got white analyst on MSNBC, CNN, openly referring to Donald Trump and his voters as Nazis on MSNBC. You don't get that anywhere. Nowhere in popular media do you see white people saying the kinds of things that you see people saying about white people on national television. From Joy Reid, did you see what Jon Stewart just said? All these late night comedians, from Trevor Noah to what's her name, Stephen Colbert, all of them, Don Lemon, over and over again.
But Chuck,
you don't see that anywhere else.
Just because you can't get on mainstream media and make light of other races doesn't mean that the racial climate is still not what it is. The reason why the racial climate is what it is because of what we're talking about right here. And that's what critical race theory seeks to do. It seeks to polarize. This is the Hegelian dialectic. It seeks to polarize for the purpose of finding people who are sympathetic to your cause. And you keep on dividing one group onto itself until you create a group of disenchanted, angry, dysfunctional people that you can then use for the purpose of your liberation. That's not my words. Those are the words of Herbert Marcuse himself. Anybody talking about race in this country or talking about critical race theory and have never listened and never heard the writings or the words of Herbert Marcuse, you cannot sit at this table and talk because you don't know the issue. You don't know the theory. You don't know the science.
But what like somebody comes up with they ain't never heard of them, but in their own eyes, they look out into the world and think, yo, that shit is fishy to me.
I don't give a damn about what you go out in the world and see. If I feel something, like I say, this is all about narrative weaving and storytelling because they play upon people's emotions and how they feel. This is contrary to what's called traditional, or what they call epistemic adequacy. They don't care about epistemic adequacy. They care about the means justifying the end. If I go to a doctor and tell a man, I feel like I'm having a heart attack, or I feel like something is wrong with me, the doctor is going to run a specific set of tests to get to what is actually happening. He has to know the truth. He can't operate and do medical procedures upon me based upon what I tell him I feel. He has to know for a fact. He has to know what he's talking about.
So he has to do a battery test.
He has to do a test because if he does the wrong treatment to me based upon what I feel, he could kill me. So people like Dr. Carol Anderson are trying to kill the very society that you and I live in. Ain't gonna be no Shop Talk podcast. It's gonna be gone.
So listen. So that's a great analogy. So you go there and you feel something. The doctor is going to run through a battery of tests to try to figure out what the fuck is going on, right?
Yeah.
I think without anybody ever hearing about all those names and those theories and everything, if a nigga go into court like myself and I go to Dearborn Heights and I see ain't nothing but black people in here with traffic tickets, right? I could say, I think something is wrong. Let me investigate. Now that don't mean that this person who thought that is a Marxist. I'm not talking
about that.
Now, if that was a thing that sparked that say, I think something may be crooked in the system, right? They may not got that from old dog, maybe because nothing new under the sun. Like all the ideas we have, somebody has thought them before, right? So a person who could be all critical race theoried out, or a person who could be all on the right, on the left, like these ideas, though someone said them before, I just don't know that I can to subscribe and say, yo, you got this from this. Like if they don't even know that shit exists.
Listen,
you know what I'm saying?
Society, you're right. You make a great point. Society is not perfect. Society is what it is. And sometimes if there is some unjust or some unfair treatment, there's a way that we go about it. But listen, understand what I'm saying. Those are not the kind of people that you want to saddle up next to because they don't believe in the process of maintaining some semblance of order while incrementally reforming the system in a way that's more in keeping with what we as people, as citizens of all races and colors think is fair. This is what they believe in. I'm glad you said that because here's another quote from Delgado and Stefanchik in their book, Critical Race Theory. Unlike traditional civil rights, which embraces incrementalism and step-by-step progress, critical race theory questions the very foundation of the liberal order, including equality theory, legal reasoning, Enlightenment rationalism, and neutral principles of constitutional law. This is coming out of the words of the people who pen this shit themselves. This is not me.
Yeah,
I'm reading from Delgado and Stefanchik. That shit, anybody would
break
have
that shit
a
down
brain.
in layman's terms. What that mean?
What they're saying is, okay, unlike traditional civil rights, so we're talking about civil rights. We're talking about the redress of grievances, which allows a person to go to the government and say, or elected representatives and officials and say, I'm unhappy. Here's what I see. This is what's going on. And there's a process. You have to go through a process to get it done. Unlike traditional civil rights, like Martin King and the guys that were marching, that embrace step-by-step progress, critical race theory questions the very foundations of the liberal order. The liberal order...
Let's pause right there.
Yeah.
All right, so look. So if I understand that correctly, is that like, look, we know that there's an order. We supposed to go to our elected officials, be like, yo, something wrong. I want you to look at this process. They saying, I think that the niggas who running the process is cheating. So we gonna circumvent all that shit. Is that a roundabout?
Yeah, because you think in your mind that everybody else is like the system is fair. It ain't doing this. It ain't doing that. Going back to what we talked about earlier, when niggas just wilding out, fighting, punching, getting killed, and such and so forth, because you can project, if you can say to yourself, well, it's not me, it's the system and the society, because they are committing evil on a scale that I can't even fathom, I can't even get my hands on, because that's another thing that critical race theorists talk about. They talk about the power principle, the power equation in terms of, who can be racist, who can be not racist.
But what if there is, I know, I don't believe that shit.
I know, but
what if there is literally people who are supposed to be doing something and fixing society or being the mediator, and they in on it though?
But
like
see,
what? Because
listen.
Men are evil.
This is what I'm saying. If you want to have this outright overthrow, this kind of revolution or whatever you want to call it.
No, not that though. I don't want to go that far yet. I don't want to do the revolution.
I know this is what these people are talking about. That's why I'm specifically reading for. They question the very foundation of the liberal order. The liberal order is a euphemism for the entirety of Western civilization. And this is what conflict theory / critical race theory, this is what this is all about. Questioning the entire legitimacy of the world in which we live. Now, if you think, okay, well, fuck it, it's all fucked up, it's bad, whatever, then ask those very same people, what ideas do they have in terms of making the society better than the one we have?
Yeah, I get it.
And then but the answers that they provide you with will blow your fucking mind.
But you do have to question.
You do have to question.
You have to inspect what you expect.
Bro, I'm not saying that you just sit back and just let it be what it is.
But most people don't have the answers to correct the issues that we're going through.
Exactly.
Everybody has an opinion.
But here's the thing, though.
But not the answers to fix what we know is already wrong.
Here's the thing. The problem that's wrong is human nature itself.
That's the fact.
There are no answers to a lot of the questions. There are only trade-offs. We can only do the best we can. They believe, the critical race theorists believe in a utopia. And on their way towards creating that utopia, they're going to take millions of lives in the process. We go out, we yelling.
There'll never be a utopia.
Never. But that's what but it's in their literature. Herbert Marcuse said it himself. And he said the reason why we do not have a utopia is because the very essence, the very foundation of man down to his biology has to be changed.
So how do you reconcile that, what you're saying?
To what she's saying?
No, what they're saying, and for like folks in 2022 who upset that the school that their children go to won't teach them about Sojourner Truth no more, or won't teach them about Black history facts or whatever. How do you reconcile that?
I don't know. Here's the thing. I don't know of any school that doesn't teach about Sojourner Truth or Frederick Douglass or you name them. I know of no school that does that. I know of no. What we have the trend in this country. And here's the thing.
I've seen these school board meetings, the videos of these school board meetings, and the parents go up there and say no, we and then boom, nigga, this is the decision of the school board. That's how it is.
Well, the fact of the matter, I mean, that's why the school boards are governed locally. The point, of course, is to give people, more choice to decide whatever type of school they want to send their kids to. Yeah. And Dr. Carol Anderson, she said it herself that she doesn't believe in school vouchers or school choice.
Right.
I'm gonna leave that woman alone because I could really get at her. But what I was gonna say, but like I say, critical race theory is just another way to introduce the world to the theories and the ideas of Karl Marx, and they're using the methodology of Friedrich Hegel. Notice, I'm saying all this stuff for a reason, and I know it's going over a lot of people's heads. Some of these names you probably ain't never heard of, but you got to understand some people that's listening to this shit, man. These people that are out here saying this shit, these are the scholars. This is the intelligentsia. This is what they know and understand. Mm-hmm. And since we talking about Will Smith walking up to a stage and smacking somebody because this raggedy-ass, cheating-ass wife put a battery in his back, they putting batteries in y'all back and sending y'all out here to believe this bullshit, and you're destroying yourselves. Not just you individually. If you ain't got to give a shit about the country, the U.S., America, you ain't got to care about none of that. Because the care, your care, it begins with you, and it works its way outward in concentric circles. It starts with you, then it starts with the nuclear family, then it starts with your neighbor, and so on and so on and so forth. But I'm saying all this shit for a reason, just to show you that you don't know what you think you know. And these people that are saying things to you, they're saying them to you deliberately so that you don't understand where this shit is coming from. Mm. You got these cats sitting up here, man. Hold on. I just saw something. I just saw something on my phone. Let me read this. Many of these movements, anti-war, feminist, gay rights, black power, indigenous peoples, the Chicano movement, disability rights, and all other movements for social justice, remember we talked about this last time, initially advocated for a type of liberal humanism. This is what they advocated for, a liberal humanism. Liberal humanism encapsulates individualism, freedom, and peace, but quickly turned into a rejection of liberal humanism. They reject this idea that you are an individual. You are an individual. I'm an individual. Fact. They reject it.
Because you got to think like I think, or something wrong with you.
Why? Because your group consciousness is integral. It goes back to one of the key contributors to the critical race theorist, a woman by the name of Kimberly Crenshaw, who came up with this very idea of intersectionality. I don't know if many of you heard this term.
I hate the fucking word.
Right, it's another academic term. Mind you,
I'm not familiar. What's intersection?
Okay, intersectionality. Okay, intersectionality borrows from a school of philosophy known as postmodernism. Y'all gonna have to walk with me. Postmodernism is
walk slow.
Okay, I'm gonna walk slow for you because we ain't got that much time. It's a study of linguistics, literature, and meaning. What postmodernism means simply is that there is no objective truth in the world, because when you try to explain reality as a human being, the only thing that you have at your disposal are words. but you can never get to the thing itself, because when you look at the word, all the word does is look up the definition of the word. The definition is going to send you to another word, and then another word, and then another word, and then another word.
It's like why you can't explain what love is.
Right. So, for example,
like I have no words to explain.
Right.
It,
so things only make sense, or things can only be defined. The best way that they can be defined is how they function relative to other things, or relative to other parts. So, for example, bro, this is a chair, right? So we call it a chair. Well, what is a chair? Well, if we can't necessarily define the chair, but I can kind of tell you what it does. The chair is made for sitting. But what if I change the perspective of the chair? If I took it and say, what if I turned it upside down? Is it still a chair? Yeah, well, it's still a chair, but how I'm supposed to sit on it? Well, you can still sit on it, but you ain't gonna necessarily be comfortable. Or how about I sit it up like this, and I use it as a table. I put my plate right here, and I can eat with it right here. Or what if I took it and threw it at you, Dan, and it became a weapon? But I can change the definition of the chair relative to its perspective as it relates to where it's sitting on the ground. So the chair can only be understood relative to where I am, the chair itself, and the floor. So you need all those components simply to understand what it is this chair does, or to even have some kind of semblance of understanding of what it is. So when you look at human beings can only understand the world from
at their level,
group perspective based upon where they are. And all different avenues of oppression intersect at one human being, which gives them a very unique perspective.
You ever heard, like on Twitter, it's the intersectionality between the gay black woman and the transgender they always take it's one of those meeting words like, to follow up. If let's circle back
a high level view.
Yeah, like you'll see the Twitter people that I live at the intersectionality of being African American as well as being LGBT, and at the it's a whole bunch of
intersectionality. Like I say, it's the handmaiden of a scholar named Kimberly Crenshaw. She wrote all this stuff back in the 1990s. We talking about critical race theory. Critical race theory has been around because it's not about what you. It's not a theory in and of itself. I just told you it affects everything because it's not about just teaching critical race theory. It's nothing that can particularly be taught. And this is how they get away with this shit, because they'll tell you, oh, it's not a real thing. It's not being taught. Technically, it's true, but it is a specific methodology. It's not about what you teach. It's about what you do. And its core principle around the theory itself is activism, because if there is no activism, there is no critical race theory. So intersectionality is what actually gave rise to black feminism. Let me tell y'all something, black men. Because we talk, because I hear a lot in this black social media space.
Hold on,
go ahead.
How do you feel that intersectionality gave
rise to black feminism?
Please.
Because so black liberationism, mind you, I'm gonna make reference to this man again because he is the founder. I'm gonna repeat of the new left. I'm gonna get back to. I ain't forgot the new left. The new left was an attempt to escape the bad press that the left was receiving all around the world because of the statements of none other than Nikita Khrushchev. Nikita Khrushchev took over the Soviet Union after Stalin passed away. You had all these people who were pro-Leninist, pro-communist, pro-Stalin. Then they found out he was running a genocidal police state and he was killing millions of people. Then they tried to disassociate themselves with Joseph Stalin and come up with a new brand of communism. And this became known as the New Left. Like I said, I explained this, that Herbert Marcuse, who was probably the most important contributor to the writings of the New Left, was the professor of Angela Davis. Black liberationism was in essence created due in large part by the influences in the writings of Herbert Marcuse, because Herbert Marcuse said that we as scholars, as intellectuals, can galvanize, and this is a quote, mind you, this is a German intellectual who used to work for the OSS, which was the predecessor to the CIA, as a side note. This is a white German scholar who said that we can galvanize the energy of the ghetto people. That's a quote. We can galvanize the energy of the ghetto people, because he could see that the people in the ghetto, they was all disgruntled and whatnot.
Because there was stuff happened to make them disgruntled.
And so, no, because they destroyed themselves, and that's a total separate issue. Because they did. Okay, I hope I get back to that if I got some more time. So black feminism grew out of black liberation because there were black women, particularly black women that were members of the Black Panther Party, who believed that the cause of black nationalism, black liberation, did not address their issues specifically as women, because not only are they oppressed as black people, they are oppressed as black women.
The intersectionality.
So the intersectionality, because not only are they black, but they're black women. So the black liberationist movement had to come to you know what I'm saying, had to incorporate black feminism if it was being honest and true, if it was showing true fidelity to their belief of wanting to liberate black people, because to be a black woman is to have a totally different experience of oppression.
That's a fact.
And so all of you, all these cats, and I said this before, you have to understand. I'm seeing, and I get it. Thanks to Kevin Samuels and a lot of other cats in this manosphere, whatever they calling it, all of a sudden, people starting to have conversations about feminism, but they do not understand it. And these same black men that's all anti-feminist are these same ones that believe in racial Marxism. They don't believe in gender Marxism because feminism fucked us up and feminism got our black women turned against us. Well, had it not been for race-based Marxism as a whole in the first place, there would have been no black feminism, because all of you are being manipulated by a scholar who is a member of a German research society known as the Frankfurt School of Social Research. You need to learn and understand this. This shit didn't just happen by accident. It just fall out the sky. And I'm saying all this shit to say, man, these people from Mark Lamont Hill, Roland Martin, all these clowns on TV, man, whether they know this shit or not, these people are telling you things that are meant to destroy you. Bro. This is another quote from Delgado and Stefanchik. Crits, as they call themselves for short, critical race theorists, are highly suspicious of any liberal mainstay, namely rights. They don't believe that individuals should have rights. Why? Because if you as an individual, if you manage to make a decent amount of money, carve out a nice middle-class life for yourself, have a nice family and some kids and things that make you happy, you typically enjoy life. You don't want to go out here tearing down that revolution and shit. If that ain't you, then according to the crits, the critical race theorists, you are simply buying into the lie that was forced upon you by people who established this kind of basis of knowledge for their own self-interest.
Same way you said about the white folks, like if you're not actively trying to fight against the system, then you're a part of the system.
Exactly.
And I just want to chill and raise my kids.
Yeah, and that's why they're gonna flog you and they're gonna drag you through the mud. And just go look up the footage and the clips of what happened in China during the Cultural Revolution, when they were taking the people who were clinging to, as Mao Zedong said, to bourgeois values, landlords, people who are middle class, teachers, educators, going into their homes.
Through COVID, if you're a landlord, you like an evil person.
Exactly, and that's a small. But guess what though? But here's the thing though, Jay.
Because how dare you want somebody to pay you money for living in your house?
But check it out. Check this out though. Listen to what I'm saying. The end goal, no matter what, all this critical legal studies, the shit that this fake half-baked scholar was talking about. All it is an attempt to overthrow, like I say, the liberal world order, which is in essence capitalism. And the very nature of capitalism is private property rights. That's why all your private property rights are being taken away. The rights of landlords to do what they want to do with their property. What do you think inflation means? This shit ain't no goddamn accident. When you have state interference, you create log jams in the market, and it devalues the currency, AKA inflation, because these are Marxist, socialist economic policies that go along with the cultural programming to get you to accept this idea.
People don't realize when they ran
hold
up
on that Marxist thing.
But because
since I know you,
bro, listen, because
and that opened my mind to a whole bunch of shit that I ain't never.
But people don't realize when they ran it up last year with all the scamming and scheming.
Exactly,
This
you gotta
is
pay
where it
for
comes
that.
back.
That shit's not free.
Somebody seen it today. Somebody from here went to prison for stealing like $9 million or some shit.
I gave him 3 years.
That shit is not free, bro. You got to pay for that, man.
Victimless crime, huh?
It's not a victimless crime, bro.
Look, so I used to say scamming was a victimless crime until I got scammed. But let me tell you something, man. Look, man, it'd be hard for me to, if they running the bag up like that again, it's going to be hard for me not to be a civilian and just say no. It's going to be pretty difficult.
Man, so this be the hard part, right? With some of these movements and who may got like roots in some wild shit. When it encapsulates or purports to encapsulate a item or a cause that you care about, it's hard for people not to jump in, right? So if you feel that, well, not even feel, I mean, it's 370 million people in here in this country. So if there is an underbelly of a few of them got together and want to keep America for white people and by white people, and they in positions of power, like that shit exists. That doesn't mean that everything that you do in your whole entire life is being controlled by some white man in the, behind the bench. But like, if people think that and have some semblance of proof that exists, because there are people. I mean, there's an audience for everything. Everybody sees that shit on social media. Right. It's like, so when they come around and I'm vibing with this shit because I've always felt this way, and you provided me some data, and you may go and co-opt a whole nother revolution, and that wasn't what you was in it for.
The problem is that you see, I take the Thomas Sowell approach, and that is that people, there seems to be only one side of the sort of dialectic, the debate, that's actually attempting to give answers. And that's the reason why people believe in all this oppression bullshit, because the other side, people who think as I, are not given the fair ground in the equal space in order to go before these people publicly and make the argument. Because it's always assaults and ad hominems. It's, oh, you're a racist. Or what these critical race theorists call themselves. This woman right here wrote a book called The Origins of White Rage. Some bullshit.
White people can't be racist?
No, they can't. They can't have rage. Yeah. But what she is talking about, like I said, she's talking about, people who just get up and try to make a counter argument that's based in scholarship that refutes what she says. Well, she sits up there and denies that these things are actually taking place. Why you think the people, you said it yourself, yeah, it's difficult because you on the outside looking in because, you're not gay, queer, and this, that, and the third, but now you looking as a black person like, well, now you getting put upon by them because now they the flavor of the month. But where you think all these disgruntled, angry young people are coming from? Now you got these young, angry, dysfunctional black folk, don't know shit, poorly educated, getting thrown out to the street, and all they being taught about from charlatans like her. Well, and I'm going there with her. It's just a bunch of rhetoric. And then you got these other folk, they being reinforced and enculturated into believing some bullshit. Well, now you got all this outbreak.
I would shoot some bail in some of this shit because some of the shit that she talked about was real. Like, we know redlining was a real thing. Correct. Redlining
was I don't even know if she mentioned redlining. I listened
she got into it.
But no. She talked about the way laws depress property value. That's what she said.
Correct.
Laws, because she talked about zoning laws and such and so forth. Laws
which is all a part of redlining.
No, redlining is about private banks not creating a red line, refusing to lend to borrowers who were seeking to borrow
and then the government
in very specific areas because
Wells Fargo just did that.
I mean, listen, if I don't want to fucking invest my money, that's the public's money. The people who put money and invest in that bank, that's their money. If the investors don't see putting money in that particular area as a keen investment, then so be it. But I don't see laws don't have no bearing as much as the market itself when it comes to what it is that people want to buy.
I get that. But what I'm saying is, so what they were examining is how banks, whether it was Wells Fargo, how banks and how different laws in different areas have had a severe impact on property value, which is one of the easiest ways to build wealth in this country.
It is, but all that stuff, but what destroyed the property value?
Dropping the freeway through the middle of that motherfucker would do it.
In these black areas was what happened in the 1950s and the 1960s when the rhetoric of the new left captured the imaginations of the people in these communities. And we're still dealing with it right now. Why? Because we still subscribe to these left-wing policies that's destroying this country and destroying the communities. Why? Because there is a one party, but no, it had already been done. It had already been done. It had already been done. Crack didn't have anything to do with that, because not only that, because the violent tendencies of the people who lived in those areas were already in place. I was just listening to the other day. My mans, you know AZ, the real AZ. Yeah. I don't even watch all that Vlad TV bullshit because I ain't into all that tabloid gossip because I don't give a fuck about them people for real. But every now and again, I'll listen to some of the stuff because some of the people got some interesting things to say, or I listen to some sound bites. He said, man, before I started fucking with the crack, I was fucking with the coke. Even Rick Ross said it himself. He said, man, I was a rich drug, or that was a white people drug, whatever the case. Rick Ross said it himself. He said, man, when I was in the street, bro, I was a kingpin and I never carried a weapon because I never felt like my life was in danger. AZ said it himself, bro. I never really felt like I was in danger when I first got in the game because I was selling coke. Them people weren't dangerous. This is the next thing that the woman talked about when she talked about law leading to discrimination and whiteness and all this other bullshit. When she started talking about the sentencing discrepancies between hard coke and hard crack, soft coke and hard crack. I talked about this in here with you before. The people who created those laws were asked to do so on behalf of their constituents who were black people who were living in constant terror and fear because of the violence that was brought as a result
we asked for those
crack. We asked for those
mandatory sentences.
We asked for them.
It's like we asking for them to take our guns right now, but that's a whole nother story.
We asked for them. So see, and this is the thing I hate about people like her, because they leave out so much. But that's they act like from the time black folks got out of bondage in the 1860s, from the time of the 1950s, 1960s, when all this bullshit started to happen, they act like black folk weren't going this way. When we began to believe,
you only can go up
in the precepts
at that point. I mean, you only could go up.
The point that I'm trying to make is, once the 1960s occurred and the Great Society, when we began to buy into social justice, is when our progress began to plateau. And you especially began to see this divide amongst blacks themselves.
So since I wasn't around in the 60s, right? But I've heard stories from my family and my loved ones and shit. Shit was tough on niggas.
Yeah, in the 60s,
like,
that's when
white folks it was tough on niggas. You couldn't even come in this month. We spitting on you. You still getting shot and like it was tough on niggas. I'm not surprised that niggas.
It was tough on niggas. I wonder how many people got murdered in Detroit back in 1960 versus how many niggas got killed last year. All the shit we hear about racism, the KKK, and all this bull. We have accomplished something the Ku Klux Klan could never have done. I don't give a damn all the racism, all the bullshit. You ain't entitled. My nigga D-Rick said it himself, nigga. I expect the hate because the love ain't fucking old. Period. We may have been oppressed, we may have been under the gun, but we carried ourselves with more fucking dignity and respect and love and appreciation for one another.
That's
in spite of everything that we were going through. We had dignity and class. Now look at this shit going on today. White people ain't thinking about your ass because you sabotaged yourself. All this killing and wanted murder, and bullshit and disrespect.
Everybody definitely plays
shit.
Everybody plays a part, but that shit ain't. This is not happenstance.
No, it's not happenstance, but it is what we have.
And to your point, the Marxists is like, nigga, it was a plan. It's been a plan for a long time for this exact same thing to happen. So it can't be like y'all did it to yourselves. No, if the whole thing
you did it because you did it to yourself from the standpoint of you are responsible for your education. You are responsible for knowing the things that you need to know in order to make yourself something in this world. Yeah, them people may have a plan and they may be trying to put, but for crying out loud, I'm sitting up here shouting into a motherfucking void.
Yeah, but
Chuck,
you don't know
everybody's
what you
not
don't
gonna-
know.
And everybody's not going to be able to fight through.
You used to be 4 or 5 different people before you turned to this version of yourself, right?
Man, listen,
Right.
absolutely.
So,
and
I mean,
that's
people
why,
get that.
And not everybody's going to be able to fight through those hurdles and get to that point.
That's why I'm saying what I'm saying. You're right. It ain't gonna be everybody, and that's why I don't take it upon myself to try to have some big collective uprising like a lot of other people, because they know that at the end of the day, every man is born with free will, and that shit ain't even possible. But they know that they get all type of social status, credit, and accolades if they can go before a group of disgruntled people and represent to the mainstream on behalf of them their grievances. It's like, yeah, go out there. Trust upon the leader, and I will ensure that you have what it is that you need to have, because of those people over there have done you wrong. So I'm going to take from them and bestow it and bequeath it to you. But it never quite makes it to them. But there's this middle class, this black bourgeoisie, as Dr. Umar likes to call them, that's in the middle. Living high off the motherfucking hog, but got all this shit to say about the system. Got all this shit to say about America and about white people. But they sitting up there bumping elbows with the very same white folk that share they fucking brain, because they all think the same. They all a bunch of fucking leftists. All of them. And I'm going to keep saying it, bro. Say, tell me I'm lying. Bro, hold on, bro. Bro. The distinguishing feature of communism is not the hold on, let me get this right. The distinguishing feature of communism is not the abolition of property generally, but the abolition of bourgeois property. Bourgeois meaning white property. But modern bourgeois private property is the final and most complete expression of the system of producing and appropriating products that is based on class antagonisms and the exploitation of the many of the few. This is where you think they get this term of you're a wage slave now. See, if you got a nice, decent middle class life, wear some nice clothes, drive a nice car, yeah, you may not be a slave, my brother, but see, you a wage slave, so you don't understand how they still oppressing you. This ain't nothing that was organic to the black community. It wasn't some nigga somewhere in some dark room in the basement that said, Eureka, I got a plan. No, he studied the writings of Herbert Marcuse, Theodore Adorno, Max Horkheimer, Habermas, all these names, they studied the works and the writings of these people. And they said, we can use their theories as a mode of liberation in the United States.
What you think about this?
So,
what you think about this? I get you. But I think by default, people gonna come together no matter what. They did a little fucking study and shit, right? With some fucking monkeys. You know I hate monkeys and shit. But they did a study with these monkeys. They had them in a cage, and they gave a monkey one banana and they gave all the other monkeys like one banana, and they gave like this one particular one all the shit. And they realized like, yo, why the fuck he keep getting all the shit? Right. You know what the other monkeys did?
They killed him.
They teamed up and killed his ass.
Yeah.
Like when somebody sees something that's out of whack, like this shit don't make sense to me, niggas get together and try to overthrow that shit. Now, them niggas is primates. Now we got, bigger brains about, you know what I'm saying?
I understand that. And there's something going back to what I said about the problem in the world is not systemic race. All this bullshit. It's the nature of man himself. And we must do our best as human beings to try to lean towards our better selves. Because we're all envious. We're all selfish. We all this and that. And this is why I'm saying the kinds of things that I'm saying to try to get people to realize that that's not the way. You can, I know how it look. I know how it may feel. But guess what? No matter what, we have to live in a world where we are human beings. Not only are we flawed, but we are limited in our faculties. We are limited in our understanding. Hell, we're limited in the amount of time we have on this earth. So there are only two ways to skin this cat, in the words of the great Ludwig von Mises. There will always be markets. The question is, who sets the prices? You and I or the government? Because the freer we are, the more conservative of a society we live in, the more dynamic of a civilization that we have. If you leave it up to the social activists that will take over your government like they are doing, You're going to have just two classes of people, the super wealthy that belong to the party, aka the state, and everybody else, eating out of fucking garbage cans and having to cannibalize their own children like they did in Ukraine back during the Holodomor, or they're going to resort to fucking eating their own pets and all type of wild shit. This can happen. That's what critical race theory will lead to. You having to eat your own pets. Did you see what they just, I'm not fucking playing, bro.
That shit just sound wild as fuck.
Did you see what they just printed up? What was that? Bloomberg or one of those social media, not social media, one of those news outlets said that, one way that you can help curb inflation or deal with inflation is, you may have to let your pets die.
Niggas is wilding.
Man, I swear to God, bro, I am trying my damnedest, man. Real quick before I get out of here, bro, if you could just, because I know you probably about to wrap it up. It's just one quote, man. I wanted to find this shit. If I can't find it, then fuck it, I'm gonna let it ride. But
if that's the solution to inflation, you gotta let Umar go.
Yeah, Umar chilling, dog.
I forgot you said you named your dog.
Yeah.
Your dog that. But yeah,
his
man.
birthday is he gonna be 1 year old on Monday.
Right.
Or Tuesday. The 4th, whatever.
And I see it till 2 if inflation keep going up.
But nah, man. This shit, bro, like, yeah, so this is what I wanted to read, man. Real quick, bro. Given these words, this is from an excerpt from an essay entitled Repressive Tolerance by Herbert Marcuse. And I know we about to get up out of here. It says, given this situation, I suggested in Repressive Tolerance the practice of discriminating tolerance in an inverse direction as a means of shifting the balance between right and left by restraining the liberty of the right, thus counteracting the pervasive inequality of freedom. This man is here's the thing, mind you, bro, I went to college. When I was in college and when I used to do studies like theory and theoretical stuff, nobody in the fucking class understood what the hell the professor was talking about. I ain't gonna say except me, because I ain't trying to like I'm all that, but I'm saying theory was the most difficult part because of the way these people write, the way these people talk. It's hard to understand. But this is a dangerous man, Herbert Marcuse. He says, as a means of shifting the balance between right and left by restraining the liberty of the right, thus counteracting the pervasive inequality of freedom, because freedom makes you unequal. These critical theorists don't believe in freedom because freedom produces inequality. You can't have both. You either live in a free society that's unequal, or you live in a unfree society
where somebody else
where everybody is equal, but you equally fucking miserable. Unequal opportunity of access to the means of democratic persuasion and strengthening the oppressed against the oppressor. Tolerance would be restricted with respect to movements of a demonstrably aggressive or destructive nature. Such discrimination would also be applied to movements opposing the extension of social legislation to the poor, the weak, and the disabled. Herbert Marcuse specifically said, even in I forgot the name of his book, it was Theodore Adorno and a man named Max Horkheimer, something like that. Both of them believe that the political left, their goal is liberation. And seeing as how their goal is liberation, and the conservatives of America are trying to uphold and protect the status quo that is inherently oppressive, we must by any means necessary do whatever it is that we have to do to balance the ledger. We must repress them. We must not let them speak, even if it means violence. Oh my God, January 6th. Oh my God, George Floyd died. We're going to riot. Look at the coverage. Oh my God, Trump's a Russian agent. Oh my God, Hunter Biden's laptop. Oh, that's just Russian propaganda. Oh, it's real. It's real. Oh my God. Joe Biden, his daughter, Ashley Biden, has a diary. Said that her father molested her in the diary. We want to talk about it. Because they believe that the key towards getting what it is that they seek to get is to repress one side and let the others give the other side free reign to do whatever the fuck they want to do. That's the left's operating principle. That's what they believe. This podcast, bro, I don't even have enough time in a podcast episode to really break down critical race theory the way I really could, because this is an entire fucking semester worth of information and stuff. And I think
also because the term critical race theory has been attached to some things that may not actually be critical race theory. And to your point, well, like the issue ain't right or left, it's like the evil in men, right? So,
but that's a right wing idea.
What you mean?
The evil in men. See,
I mean, I was trying to. How did you say it?
When I say the problem is man's nature.
All right, boom. We'll take that. Man's nature.
That's a right wing idea, because the romantic nature idea of man's nature is, to quote Rousseau, which is man is born free but is everywhere in chains. So it is the society that corrupts man, but man is not born evil. But that's a romantic nature that came out of French Romanticism by way of Jean-Jacques Rousseau. It's a lot of shit.
So some of this shit was like, look, there's at least a half a dozen states that introduced legislation to prevent the teaching of critical race theory in schools. Educators in states where such bills become law will be blocked from teaching about racist roots of the Western society, generally the United States specifically, and how racism continues to plague us. Some states are trying to ban the use of the 1619 Project as well, blah, blah, blah. Some people, it's like, look, y'all can't stop teaching my kids Black history. And it's been, I get it.
I just gotta say it, bro. That's not what critical race theory is. Not Black history. They are lying, and they know.
Which is why I said I think things are being labeled as critical race theory that may not be critical race theory.
No, these parents are not stupid, bro, and they know, and they watch, and this is why a lot of this stuff came out around the pandemic.
20 years old, because they from the city of Detroit. They not scholars. Everybody not scholars. You know what I'm saying?
You talking about 20-year-old parents that don't want their students not to learn about black history.
Correct,
because they are being told. And see, they're being polarized and pulled away from the people, from the practitioners of critical race theory, because they are feeding them a narrative. This is what they want you to believe. They want you to think that by being opposed to critical race theory, you don't want Black studies being taught in the classroom, and that's not true. They are deliberately trying to pull at the fabric of the civil society to tear it apart, to tear it down, because critical race theory is a creation. It is the tip of a spear of 100-long-year process.
I forget what state it was, because on Martin Luther King Jr. birthday, they was like, yo, this state introduced literature that says you can't even speak it. His name is removed from all the textbooks or some shit like that. And like headlines like that in individual states or cities that do that shit.
Like the Not Say Gay bill, right? Listen, bro.
I didn't
see that. You had to send that to me. But like I say, bro, I don't know about what's going on in every single school, every single school district. But like I said, I know we gotta go, bro. But critical race theory as a theory, like I say, as a practice, and what it is that they're doing, I know what it is, and I'm speaking specifically about that.
I get it.
And these activists in the classroom, like I said, they take over education. They took over education. The New Left took over education. Once they put down the anti-Vietnam War signs, a lot of them were convicted of various crimes and bombings and everything else. A lot of them became Democrat politicians, or they became educators. They are right. They are in K through 12 in the what do you call it? In the university, everywhere. Like I say, this queer thing, this transgender shit. You wonder, like, man, what the fuck came out of nowhere? They have been teaching this shit. This shit has been
I don't think it came out of nowhere.
Society for decades.
But
bro.
before the internet, you didn't know where other weird people was at. No, unless you was one of them.
Look,
like you just like for real. Before the internet, you just didn't know where they were.
Can I drop before you rap, Jay? Can I just one more quote?
Go ahead.
And I'm done, bro. Because it's too much for one show. Organize. This is once again. This is Crenshaw. This is Kimberly Crenshaw in her book, Critical Race Theory: The Key Writings That Form the Movement. She says, organized by a collection of neo-Marxist intellectuals. Like Patrice Cullors, we're trained Marxists, the founder of Black Lives Matter, the one who said we're going to eradicate the family, because even Karl Marx said it himself, that the family is a bourgeois institution that obstructs one from evoking or creating a class consciousness. because monogamy in the family is an invention of the West and should be abolished. This is what they believe. That's why they pushing all this homosexuality and emasculating our men and putting women at the forefront and gay rights and gay this and transgender that. They are deliberately trying to destroy the family and get man to remove the barriers from his sexual inhibition because they know he can be controlled that way. Herbert Marcuse wrote about that as well because he said that the capitalist system is directing man's libido into productive activities, which in essence is making him a slave. So we must abolish capitalism to free man so he can act on his id impulses because he was conjuring up his knowledge of Sigmund Freud. I'm gonna read this and I'm out. Organized by a collection of neo-Marxist intellectuals, former New Left activists, ex-counterculturalists, and other varieties of opportunists in law schools, the Conference of Critical Legal Studies, where critical race theory was developed, established itself as a network of openly leftist lawmakers, students, practitioners committed to exposing and challenging the ways of American law served to legitimize an oppressive social order. Y'all may think that shit is true, and that's why a lot of y'all like, sound good to me. Okay. If I have to tell you I told you so, it's going to be too late. You already seeing it, man. Good luck filling up your tank.
Bang the gavel on that one.
Yeah. Music pick.
I sent you my music pick of the week. Earlly Mac and B. Louie dropped a project. This is a song off the project called Lobster Ravioli.
Oh, shit.
And they spitting.
I like that title.
Sounds cinematic. We gon' do this with no pen and pad. Yeah. Fuck what you do if I was your baby daddy. Fuck what you doing with your baby daddy. Fuck y'all, nigga, we ball, stack at their tree tall. These niggas sending shots under hand, they playing skee ball. We going back and forth with the bands, we playing ping pong. My nigga on the bench got a bag, we playing b-ball. Respect yourself, son, recheck the bands. Respect yourself, son, recheck the bands. Respect yourself, son, recheck the bands. Respect yourself, son, recheck the bands.
Had to recount that back end just to make sure. See your thought off a couple shots, tryna take more. She was too friendly off 3, this one make 4. I'm in sacks, you in off 5th, not the same store. Boss player to my court, floss mink to the floor. Game seats on the court, wire yays when in court. I'm focused on that paper like a dork. Hocus pocus, magic stick will send you to the Lord. I'm on all bullshit, finna hit her off the horns. Over Redenbacher, he just hit me off with corns. Lobster ravioli, calamari in my loins. Call it booty bitches in the lobby tryna join.
Alright, I fucks with it.
Lobster Ravioli, B. Louie, Earlly Mac. Man, Mac don't get the credit that he deserves, but I think that he's like one of the best MCs out the city. Just my opinion, just my humble opinion.
I fuck with
But I know
that.
a little bit about rapping. Just a little bit.
I fucks with it. I don't really got no whose mans is this week. I mean, we've talked about
Will
this
Smith,
shit.
nigga.
Yeah,
Whose
you know what I'm
mans
saying?
is
We've
that?
talked about it for a
Jada.
good.
Oh shit! Look at this shit. I'm just
Came with Jada.
I'm just playing on my phone. It say Will Smith resigns from the Academy, calls his actions shocking and inexcusable.
Yeah, because he's about to get fired on Wednesday. Whenever they're about to. Oh, side note, whose mans is this? The Oscars. Yes, the Oscars. Whose mans is this? When the fuck can you be at, slap somebody and don't get escorted out? If you slap the nigga at work, can you stay for the rest of your shift?
First of all, when they see me get up walking towards them aggressively, they already call security.
If you in a restaurant and you slap one of the waiters, can you finish your meal?
No.
Fuck no.
How disrespectful is that?
But let me ask y'all a question. I mean, open up a can of worms, but if Chris Rock would have made a joke about a white man and his wife, and what if a white man would have got up and slapped him?
Oh, it'd have been like, no, you can't do that to no black man.
Exactly.
That'd have been racist as fuck.
Exactly.
Nobody cares that Will Smith did that to a black man.
Cause I told you, bro, black folks got crazy black privilege going through this motherfucker that we don't talk about. Don't look at me like that, dang. It's a whole lot of black privilege out in this motherfucker.
The privilege was I can be rich as fuck, popular as fuck. I can get out my seat, slowly walk. Don't do it like I'm mad. So with a smile on my face, disarm somebody, slap the shit out of them, and go sit in my fucking seat.
Walk back to my seat.
But I'm saying,
accept my award, apologize to the Academy.
Not that man.
Not him. party the whole fucking night and then put some shit on the internet the next day on your Instagram page talking about, oh yeah, I apologize to the Academy again. And Chris, it's just that I was trying to protect my wife alopecia. I don't know your fucking wife got alopecia.
Yeah.
Do I got alopecia because I got a bald head?
Yeah, all three of us bald, nigga.
You know what I'm saying? I seen
to some level, you probably.
You know what I'm saying? Like I seen her eyebrows. Her eyebrows ain't gone. I know niggas who got alopecia, and they live. They like that shit was not right.
Richard probably
that shit wasn't right.
No,
that
but if it would have been
the company that's paying me to do this allowed a nigga to walk. You didn't create a safe environment for me. You let a nigga walk on stage, slap me, never escorted him out, and they find out that they never even asked him to leave.
They lied and said they did, but they
didn't even ask him to leave. Let him accept the award.
That's Chris Rock in his lawsuit. He'll come up a little bit more off of that shit.
That shit is crazy.
Well, like I said, all that with all that being
moreover, Oscars was so white when you ain't get invited or get nominated. Why the fuck y'all there anyway?
That's that, yeah.
Y'all keep like, yo, he made a joke about her in 2016 because y'all was boycotting because it was so fucking racist.
Hey,
now that the white man that you think is so fucking racist gives you a fucking pat on the back, oh, now we in this bitch again. That shit weak as hell.
That's what I was just talking about. Yep, that's what I was talking about.
That shit weak as
fuck. It make you feel equal.
Yeah, critical race theory in the academy. You know, you don't get it got to be some kind of systemic situation going on.
That shit weak.
So many white folks got nominated.
Fuck.
Yeah, like I say, all it is an excuse to obscure and obstruct your own bigotry. You know
making excuses for niggas who
do bullshit. Because if
put out poor behavior.
Yeah, because and that's the thing, though, Jay. I mean, all that shit being said, wealthy, powerful, influential, whatever. All you gotta do is just swap races. If Will was a white man, now the motherfucker Will is getting dragged, but even if you see the mainstream media still trying to run cover for him, because like you said, it's about time we protect black women and such and so forth. But a matter of fact, you're going back to what you said though.
Everybody who said something about the situation, they racist and they should shut the fuck up.
Exactly. Fuck out of here.
Crazy.
Fuck out of here,
like,
man.
Nigga, we seen this shit too. And this the last piece of who mans it is y'all too. Because you motherfuckers connect having a level of decorum with being white. No, nigga.
Yeah.
If I want to go somewhere,
act in public setting.
Go ahead, Jay. Speak
if I want to be dressed up and be regal in my attire and my actions, that does not make me
white.
Performing for white folks. No, nigga. Can we have some nice shit? Can you not fuck up a moment? It don't mean I'm trying to be white because I don't think you should do it here. I don't think you won't do that shit at your job because you respect your job.
The Oscars are a formal affair.
I'm
coming in a Tom Ford tux with my wife and her.
I heard somebody say, I'm glad it happened there. You know what I'm saying? No, I don't know what you're saying.
I tell you what, all that shit we were talking about going back to early in the conversation, okay, I want to see you niggas clean up your act, man. You know, y'all start doing better and stop, like you say, Jay, a lot of that shit, the stuff that you hearing, I try to cut that kind of talk out of my life. I don't even associate with people that talk like that. But once y'all really step up to the plate, man, and start doing what it is y'all supposed to do, maybe I'll start entertaining some of the shit that y'all talking about systemic oppression and white people and all that shit. Let me see you clean up your fucking act first. Meet me halfway. I'll be your fucking Huckleberry. Stop, because you can't sit up here and complain and bitch and moan and cry the moody blues when that's the kind of shit that y'all saying, man. Y'all sound dumb as fuck.
You know,
we better than that, man.
I like to wrap it up with this, just one thing saying this. I see a lot of women online talking about, you know, that's how they would want their man to act. A nigga that's making you pay half on the rent ain't smacking nobody else in the face for you.
Nope. Well, guess what? Guess what's gonna happen if I inadvertently disrespect you and offend you, and you send your man to come see me? I'm gonna be back. I'm gonna be
funeral.
I'm gonna be back on here the next Friday. That's bad advice.
Yep.
It's just bad advice.
Yep.
That's a horrible advice for the nigga that you claim that you love. Mm-hmm. Because what should have happened is when Will got his ass out of the seat, his wife should have grabbed his arm and told him to sit the fuck down.
Yep.
But guess what she was? Because they showed another angle today. She was over there laughing. Oh, that shit cute, huh?
Uh-huh.
Y'all in public, you chose to monetize your fucking family. It's certain people that you'll never hear about their wife or their husband or none of that. You put your family out there. You had your grandma, your mama, your kids on the red. The reason that we know all of your business because you monetize your entire family. You use that shit as a bargaining chip to make me more money in Hollywood. Look at my family. So you monetize your family, and when some shit get out about your family and your personal life, now you mad, and everybody got, oh, that's because this, that's because of that. No, that was the decision that you made. I'm not mad that you made the decision because you can make the decision. Because you got free will. You know what I'm saying? But look, was it right? Was it wrong? Nigga, is it legal? Because it's assault.
No. Critical legal thing. No, we don't have to abide by the law because the law was made for the service. We ain't got to abide by the law. See, I ain't even, because we gonna go back. I'm not regressing because it's time for us to go. We don't feel like we have to abide by the law, Jay, because of the rhetoric that's coming out of the academy, not the movie academy, but the academy in terms of the intelligentsia, because they have convinced people who, you said it yourself, ain't never picked up a book, ain't read, don't know jack shit about none of the stuff that I was up here talking about, but it oozes its way, it makes its way into popular entertainment and into everywhere else. And folks think that they shouldn't be held to the same standard of the law because according to critical race theory, critical legal studies, that the neutrality of constitutional law is the problem. You as a black person shouldn't be held to the same standard of behavior.
That shit crazy.
Yeah. Huh? And you wonder why they act this way. But I'm the fucking problem. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm the coon. I don't know what I'm talking about.
That shit crazy. I mean, if you love your man, you should be holding that nigga back. Because either he's gonna do something fucking stupid and embarrass your family, go to prison, go to jail, or he gonna get killed. Yep. Like, it shouldn't be a situation. Well, there should be limited situations where you allow your man to go out there and do some dangerous shit.
And that wasn't the situation for it.
And even in that, you still should be holding him back. Because ultimately, you don't want to see that shit. So me and you out somewhere and the nigga disrespect you and you go to the car or some shit. You a man. You about to go fight. I'm like, nah, Dame, chill out. I'm still gonna tell you to chill. You know what I'm saying? Because like, I already know where this shit can go. It's gonna be a lose-lose situation. Yeah. That don't mean that you shouldn't protect your own honor and everything, but the attempt from your friends and your loved ones should be like, nah, nigga, chill out.
But Jay, a lot of this though, man, is just that's that masculine discipline, that manhood
that's what
wisdom.
How we started this conversation.
We got too many single mothers raising boys, man. Can we say that?
Need to have conversations, real conversations with each other to check behavior, because I know that shit wasn't right, and you know it wasn't right. More so, you too big to be fighting that nigga.
Yeah, and you know something though, Jay. But we got too often, bro. It's unfortunate that we got too many men who don't live to be 40, bro. Who don't have that, you know what I mean? Because they fucked up when they 18, 19,
I know you ain't been here with us the last couple of weeks. With me and Jay,
they raised by these mothers.
It's like the second or third week we talked about that. Women don't, like, with men, we understand that at the course, even though we all friends, get along, we understand that there's a low level of violence in the room with us.
It happened on Sunday.
Yeah. It's a low level of violence at all times.
It happened on Sunday.
A nigga popped off in here?
No, I'm saying, wielding.
Oh, that was on the Sunday that happened?
Yeah, because like, look, you can say the wrong thing to the wrong person and it can actually go down. Right or wrong, whether it should, it can go down.
Women don't live with that same type of theory.
No, they don't.
Because what Jada was living with was sitting back in her motherfucking chair, smiling and joking because we all knew that Chris Rock was the nigga to steal on. Mm-hmm. That's some whack ass shit, dog. Yeah. The reason that why can't men fight women? Why is it wrong for a man to fight a woman?
Because we built differently. The size difference, the strength.
It's an easy fight.
Most women ain't gonna be able to take 4-5 of these to the face.
No, sir.
So the way that we look at niggas who fight women is the way that I personally look at niggas who fight people who is not in your class.
They got weight classes for a reason.
If Lennox Lewis, a nigga that's Lennox Lewis size, tried to fight a 5'8" nigga Floyd Mayweather size, you don't get no respect for that.
Right.
That's some hoe ass shit. It's no reason for the fight. In 99% of the situations, 95. I mean, if some ultra disrespectful shit happens, my nigga, I gave you a warning, you wouldn't stop. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But most situations, like, you don't get no respect for that.
Right.
Anyway, you had a nigga in a fucked up position. I'm being professional. You slap me. What you want us to do? have a knockdown, drag out brawl.
Oh, that shit would have been so not funny. That shit would have been embarrassing.
You know what I'm saying? You got a nigga in a fucked up position. You don't think he'll swing on you in the first place, and you put him in a position where I gotta be professional. That shit weak as hell to me. Now, that don't mean it's hate. I hate Will Smith. I'm never fuck with him or shit. Like, what I'm saying is, it was an error. He can't be judged by his whole. He's 53 years old. Like, I can't judge his whole fucking life off this one moment. But to the people commenting and praising the foul moment, that's fucked up. You shouldn't even be praising one of his worst moments on the biggest night of his fucking career. Yeah. The first time he gets a fucking Oscar.
But the problem ain't
that's
that.
like, for a 53-year-old man who's been relatively calm in public.
Safe, his whole appears to be safe.
That's not the thing that you be like, yeah, we should want this to happen more. No, you shouldn't want a nigga who's 53 years old to finally lose it. That's a bad. Yeah. That's not what we want to happen more.
Well, but the problem ain't us though, huh? Okay.
Hold on, and I'll take it a step further. Will Smith, not only is he 53, nigga's rich. Nigga's filthy rich. Mm-hmm. He don't have to resort to that.
No.
And as unfair as it may be, his wealth can open and shut different doors.
Would you tell your son that that's how he's supposed to handle conflict?
No, because I want my baby to come back home every night.
That's so right. I'm
trying to preserve life.
Women who online telling you I want this, that. Would you tell your son that if someone says something that he deems disrespectful, he should go assault them?
No, but I could.
Maybe that's what y'all telling them, because the young men out here are very ultra violent and killing each other.
I could deliver a teach them like sermon about women raising young boys. I could go there. I have some very strong opinions and facts about women raising young boys, but today ain't the day.
The biggest opinion, in fact, is the child should be raised with both parents in the same house.
That's right.
If at all possible.
Mm-hmm.
Anywho, man, we about to
slaves to the institution, bro.
Get this benediction going on.
Chuck, you've been here before. As customary, when we had guests, we let them go first, give out all their socials. Where can people find you when the podcast comes? Any information?
Yeah, man, you can just follow me at Teach 'em Chuck, man, on my Instagram page, man. Teach 'em Chuck. You'll find me. My man Jay gonna probably upload this to YouTube. We're gonna probably throw it in the description. So there it is, man. And I got I'm on another podcast coming out soon called Mission Manhood. And I just did a podcast with my homegirl Layla called Propaganda Fluent. That's her name on YouTube, Propaganda Fluent. You can look that up, man. I just dropped the show with her a couple of weeks ago. It was real dope.
I say that one. I got it on my phone, actually.
Okay, good shit. It is your man Dame, 3_313 on Twitter, on Instagram, at me, talk to me, I talk back. Look, man, say a prayer for somebody that's close to you. Speak life into somebody's life. Breathe into good situations, man. Just send some positivity out there. When you see the blue and the black, you know where you at. Book some time. It's Shop Talk Podcast Studios. Shop Talk Podcast. The brand is strong.
I appreciate y'all, man. I appreciate Chuck for stopping in. It's always a pleasure, my brother.
For sure.
308 episodes in a row. Y'all keep fucking with the gods. Listen, men, protect black women 100%, but do it with some sort of kind of integrity. Use your fucking brain, use some logic, use some de-escalation tools, do something.
And don't let your ego cloud you.
Don't let your
family need you,
either
bro.
Easier said than done. I got an ego myself. It's certain shit that I probably should have let go that I haven't let go, or nigga might have got slapped before. But guess what? I'm a mature and evolved human right now. So
still alive, baby.
You feel me? So I appreciate y'all niggas, man. When you see the blue and the black, you know where you at. Shop Talk Podcast Studio. Book some time. I'm not saying we're the Rockefeller Podcast, but we are Jay and Dame.
Hell yeah.
Peace.